Yeah, I think that about settles it. Reacher is one of the best characters on television. Season 3 ups the stakes in the best way possible. Let's talk about it. Oh my goodness.
I've never been so jealous of a fork in my life.
You have any thoughts on dessert?
I want to get into this season, so Amazon sent me all 8 episodes of Season 3. I'm not going to get into any details beyond the first batch that you all are going to get to see, so do not worry there. But I just want to say, Season 1, one of my favorites of that year. Season 2, I didn't enjoy it quite as much. I understand they're kind of building on what makes the character great in Season 2. It didn't quite have that oomph or that impact that Season 1 had for me. But then you get into Season 3, and the way that Episode 1 starts out, of course, Reacher, he's a drifter, going from town to town. We meet him at the beginning, he's selling old albums to this album store, and then all of a sudden, he sees this young boy get kidnapped, goes in to save the day, and then gets caught up in this series of events that inevitably takes many twists and turns that you're not going to see coming in that first 20 minutes that ultimately leads him on a series of missions where, of course, his allegiance is ultimately going to be on the good side of things, but in the beginning, we don't really know what his motivations are, and this series of events that we are seeing playing out, it is consistently keeping the audience on their toes. It inevitably settles in, but man, Episode 1, we're firing on all cylinders, and you have this protective instinct that Reacher has had throughout every season, not only for the friends, the ones that he cares about and ultimately grows to care about throughout this season, but that protective instinct towards those that can't really fend for themselves. And I love the relationship between he and this boss's young son who can't really stand up for himself or protect himself, and I think they establish a great relationship off the bat, and I'm thinking I know where this story is going immediately. Ultimately, I do not. And for a show like Reacher that, ventures so heavily into the genre that we know and love, that features action, adventure, pure badassery behind Reacher, but, this season, it's not only Jack Reacher. Jack Reacher's got a bully in Season 3, a guy that's bigger and stronger and maybe even more threatening than he is. That's not something you see every day. So we're seeing a different side of Reacher, but we're also seeing that side that we know and love, to where he's going to do what it takes and kill who he needs to kill. And this is a series of episodes to where you see some insane, unexpected deaths. And I'm like, I can't believe that just happened. I can't believe it was so brutal. I feel like this is a more brutal season than what we saw in Seasons 1 and 2. I know you could make arguments with specific plot points, but man, oh man, I couldn't believe the lengths that they were willing to go. The brutality that they showcased on screen, and people that, you may not be rooting for everybody that dies, but there are some deaths in here. I'm like, I cannot believe that they did that. And so, Reacher Season 3, standard action adventure, not pulling any punches, okay, but it goes beyond that. It's a rock-solid script for a show like this. Even in Season 2, there were times where I'm like, not every plot point is coming together seamlessly. And I'm not going to say Season 3 is entirely seamless, but by the time you get into the Episode 5, everything's coming together. You're getting reveals and seeing who we're having to deal with in this season. And I thought that was a really cool direction to take it. Again, not going to spoil anything. But for a show like this, that is so catered to, most of the time, one genre, to have rock-solid plot points that keep you on your toes, lead to something really great, and keep the intensity going throughout every episode. Like, I'm on Episode 7. I am locked in. My wife's trying to get me to do stuff around the house. I'm like, honey, no, I can't. Not to say that you have a long next 4 to 5 weeks to wait for the final batch of episodes. I was fortunate. I was able to binge it. Man, I'm locked in, man. I'm telling you, this season of Reacher is special. And I don't usually geek out over shows like this, but dude, Alan Ritchson, he is incredible in this role. He is Jack Reacher. As a fan of the Tom Cruise movie, I enjoyed him in the role. Season 1 comes out, I'm like, no, I think it's him. I think he's Jack Reacher. He's this big force of nature. Like, he's got the physical attributes that you need, but he's also mentally imposing because he's going to do what it takes. And sometimes even when you least expect it, he's going to make the rash decision. I love that. But in this show, or in this batch of episodes, you see a different side of him. You see that protective side. You see that side that's maybe not on top like he always is. Like, there's a big 7-foot guy running, and he's bigger than Bane. Olivier Richters, I believe is how you pronounce his name. 7'2". He's known as the Dutch Giant. And for someone to be that much bigger, an imposing threat that is significantly more imposing, he's outmatched physically. And so he has to overcome that, but also kind of, mentor and guide, and honestly kind of be a father figure to this kid whose dad is just caught up in all sorts of stuff, even though Reacher is kind of working for him, at one point, caught up in a lot of stuff that almost doesn't seem like it's entirely his family's fault, and you see that start to unravel as you go. And so you're seeing the side of Anthony Michael Hall's Beck that you expect to see in the beginning, but you're also seeing a different side of this crime functioning family, to where not everyone there or involved is as bad as you would expect, even though a lot of people with them and involved with them are terrifying, especially the bodyguards, especially the security guards. But in this first batch of episodes that you all are going to see, I believe it's going to really surprise you with how quick it gets you invested, because I know what you're thinking. It's another Reacher story. We're going to get caught up in another adventure, and that's kind of how Season 2 was, even though I still thoroughly enjoyed it. This season ups the stakes, ups the ante. I was on edge, man. Just the scale of this is a little bigger, like the explosions. We're not as much with the friend group anymore like we were in the first season. He's kind of out on his own, even though we get some flashbacks there, some tragic flashbacks that leads us into this situation. But man, can you tell I enjoyed this, man? I loved this season of Reacher, really did. And I would be stunned if this isn't in my top 10 shows of the year. I'm serious. Also, not a spoiler. I'm not going to say who would win because it'll catch you off guard. But Reacher has to fake some things throughout this season, specifically later on, where he has to lie through his teeth to people to get what he wants. And I just really loved Alan's lying through his teeth voice, because in reality, Jack Reacher in this show would not be a good actor. But Alan is such a good actor, and I gotta give him chops for his acting, man. I know he's a big dude, this and that, but he's so good at being such a bad actor in this show. Like when Reacher has to lie to people, he does a terrible job. They buy it, but you can tell the character of Reacher is acting and lying through his teeth. But he's so awkward while he's doing it. I'm like, how do these people buy it? But it's so great as he is just so in character acting while acting. And I'm like, a character this physically imposing shouldn't be this good and realistic. And when he needs to be badass, he's ridiculously badass. By the way, the action is... Did I say that? Did I say the action's incredible? I'm all over the place. I love this. I want to watch it again. I can't wait. Thank you all so much for watching. Hey, if you like this season of Reacher so far, if you've only seen this first batch of episodes, let me know. Comment your theories. Where do you think this is going? What do you think the big reveal, because there is a big reveal, what do you believe that's going to be? I'm excited to read your comments and laugh at how wrong you are, because I was wrong after 3 episodes. Very wrong, and it was awesome. All right, guys, if you'd like me to come back and talk about this as it unravels and talk spoilers specifically, I will do that. Drop a like, throw a comment down below, and share this video if you like these reviews. Season 3 raises the stakes, features a more complex storyline, and allows us to see a different side of Reacher this time around. This series just keeps getting better, and there's no stopping Alan Ritchson at this point. There is no stopping this man as this character, and who knows? Maybe Batman or something. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. He's pretty good. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.